And hello gamers, and welcome. 2016's been an interesting year, hasn't it? I mean, a pretty interesting one. To really look at it, 2016 was a dumpster fire, but for gaming, it was actually pretty good. We had our ups and downs, we had our WTF moments, and generally it wasn't that bad a year if you're a gamer. If you followed politics, it was a complete disaster. It was a mistake. But for gaming, actually 2016 was pretty good. I've compiled a list of what I thought were some of the biggest news stories of the year. Now, I may have missed some stuff, so that's where you come in. So if you join chat, let's talk about some of the news stories that I might have overlooked, because there were a lot of them. A lot of big ones this year, a lot of doozies. So, let's get to it. Probably one of the earliest is Kojima's Return. Yeah, Hideo Kojima came back. He was at E3, and he announced his new game with his new studio, Death Stranding. And he was also at the Game Awards, where he finally got his just desserts. He finally got the award that he was denied the year before when all that mess with Konami happened. And that was a disaster, and Konami has since tried, I quote, tried to get back into good graces of gamers, but it's not happening. No, it's not happening. They released this really crappy looking, well, the graphics look good, and the gameplay might actually be good, but they call it a Metal Gear game, and it's not really Metal Gear. It's just basically a zombie survival game. And this thing got as many that thing on YouTube got as many dislikes as the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer. But Kojima's back. He's working with Norman Reedus and Mads, let me get his name right, Mads Mikkelsen on the game. So, he may not be doing a game with Del Toro, but he says he will be working with him on things like a television show of some kind. They may not be able to do some, they may not be able to do Silent Hills, but they can work on something together at least. And he's got a lot of talent from Konami on his side. That might get him into a little bit of trouble if Konami had any kind of anti-competitive clauses to their contracts. But he's doing pretty good now, despite what happened last year, and it was a disaster what happened to him. His legacy basically just yanked right out from under him. But he's gotten back to his feet, which is very good, because his games are quirky. I have to admit, they're quirky, they're strange. Metal Gear is strange, but he's actually a good developer. He makes good games. A little quirky, stories that are kind of unusual and hard to follow sometimes, but he's a darn good game developer. Something else that happened this year. E3 got a little smaller. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in 2017, but some big names skipped out. Now, we understand why Disney Interactive skipped out. We found that out later, when Disney decided to shut it down. And they're shutting down, it should be as of now, or as of today, Disney Infinity should be completely shut down. So that's the end of their Toys to Life series, and they just weren't making any money off of Disney Infinity. So they decided to just basically shut it down, and they're shutting down their entire game division completely. And likely any future Disney games, they'll likely farm out to EA. And speaking of EA skipped out on E3 2016, which was a big deal, because they were one of the bigger players in E3. I mean, they were one of the foundation companies at E3. One of the biggest AAA studios. So that was a big deal for them to skip out on E3 and do their own thing. Also, a company that has some of the largest booths at E3 is Wargaming.net, which is behind World of Tanks. And they also skipped out. Now, there has been no news yet on whether or not any companies will be skipping out on E3 2017. Whether EA is going to do what they did again, there's no news yet. But if there is any, you will find that news here on this show in later episodes. So I'll be keeping an eye on those developments. "2016 was also the year of VR, virtual reality. This was the year that finally the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive both hit the market. Finally. And while it's been slow, adoption's been slow, mostly because of the high price. The price is just a little too high still for people. I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow. Not only do you need a Uber gaming system to power these headsets, the software requires it, but the headsets themselves are well over $600, $700. Now, the PSVR is out. That's a little cheaper, but it's still pretty pricey. I mean, you're buying a headset, and all the accessories needed for it is almost as much as the console itself for the PlayStation 4. But this was the year we finally got VR. We still don't have a killer app for VR. And that's some of the hurdles that VR is going to have to overcome in 2017. Right now, this is just a niche product. There is nothing really that makes VR stand out other than the experience of having virtual reality. You know, it's a curiosity mostly right now. There's nothing that is a absolute must-have game. Nothing that you really stands out. Nothing that, that makes you actually want to go out and actually spend that much money to get a VR headset. Because it's a lot of cash. It's a big investment. Very big investment. Alright. Console upgrades. These were a thing this year as well. Now, the Xbox update, the Scorpio, is not out yet. That's coming out next year. That's coming out in 2017. Sony launched theirs pretty early on. They've launched the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it's a bump up in performance. I have to admit, it is a bump up in performance. It still struggles to handle native 4K for games. What it will do is upscale to 4K. Not a lot of games will play at native 4K. There's a difference. And one of the most confounding things is that Sony is the company behind the Blu-ray standard, but the PS4 Pro doesn't include 4K Blu-ray. Yet the interim Xbox One S, the Xbox One Slim, does have 4K Blu-ray. So I don't understand this. The whole reason why the PlayStation 2, one of the reasons why the PlayStation 2 did so well is not only because it had some great games, it had incredible games during its lifespan. It was one of the most successful video game consoles of all time. But one of the things that spurred early adoption of the PlayStation 2 was the fact that it had DVD playback capability. And it was affordable, because at that time, DVD players were still pretty expensive when the PS2 came out. DVD was relatively new. So people were buying the PlayStation 2s in place of getting a standalone DVD player because it was cheaper, and also they got games along with it. And in the PlayStation 3, when that came along, that also had Blu-ray. Now, there was the whole battle between Sony and Microsoft over Blu-ray and HD DVD. Remember that? And Microsoft had the HD DVD add-on for the Xbox 360. And that lasted for about as long as the DivX format, which wasn't very long. So it kind of confounds me that Sony would skip out on taking advantage of the fact that, 4K Blu-rays will be selling. Probably not as much as they might have before, because most people are getting their videos now online. They're getting most of their stuff through services like Netflix, which is now doing 4K, YouTube, which has been doing 4K for a while now. Hulu will be doing 4K soon. Amazon will likely be doing 4K in the very near future. And then you've got Walmart's video service, which is Vudu. And they offer HD, and they're beginning to offer Ultra HD or 4K videos. And Vudu is a free service where you can sign up for free, and then what you do is you buy stuff and you stream it online, or you can download it to play through the app. And the app is available on most of the consoles. It's available on the PS4, available on the PS3. It's available for your whatever device you're using, whether it's Android or iOS. Or you can log into the website, Vudu website. And the streams are high quality. We watch videos with Vudu exclusively, and it's almost like having the actual disc. They will even include, if you get the HD versions of movies, in most cases, they will even include the extras that come on the Blu-rays. And if you buy a Blu-ray from Walmart, you'll get a code where you can activate the digital copy on Vudu. So most people are now getting their stuff online. Disc sales are slowing down, but there are still people who will buy discs who, for one reason or another, can't stream their stuff because either they've got an ultra greedy ISP that will charge them an arm and a leg for streaming video, or they have, crackerjack internet service where they live, where they can barely watch YouTube. So, it still surprises me that Sony didn't include a Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Now, both consoles, the Xbox One S and PS4 Pro, do support HDR, which is a new standard for Ultra HD televisions. This is high dynamic range lighting support. So it does support that, and it does improve the video quality of videos and games. Now, the Xbox One S is not the Scorpio. It is an interim upgrade, a sort of thing that tied people over for when the Scorpio comes out. Now, Microsoft has stated that the Scorpio will be a premium product. And we have no idea what the specs are going to be, how much more powerful it's going to be than the Pro. Rumors have said it's going to be significantly more powerful. There's been talk that it may use a Zen processor, and it may use a Vega GPU. Those are just rumors. You know how rumors are in the gaming industry. There's a lot of rumors flying around now about Nintendo's new console, which that story is coming up soon. And speaking of which, actually, AMD is on its way back. Yes. Nvidia right now, I think, they're beginning to abuse their market dominance. And it's starting to get on people's nerves. I'm a member of a lot of PC gaming communities, and there are people that are really starting to get tired of Nvidia's BS. Because they're slowly working towards making it to where you have to pay for the GeForce experience. Something that used to be free. And there are rumors going around that they may actually start charging for, using their video capture software, Shadowplay, as a part of the service. You already have to log in. You have to log in to update your drivers with the software. So, and that's pissing off a lot of PC gamers. They don't like it. And GameWorks has also been making a lot of people upset. GameWorks is a mess. Not only does it mess with performance on AMD graphics cards, but it doesn't run that great even on NVIDIA's own graphics cards. I mean, it does too much tessellation, and tessellation is where tessellation in the most basic description is where a 3D model is taken and it's broken down into many triangles. It's broken down into many triangles. That's the most basic description of tessellation, and that's supposed to improve the visual quality of the model. But that comes at a price of a drop in performance. And GameWorks does too much of that. It does way too much tessellation. And so games which have used GameWorks, such as Batman Arkham Knight for the PC, have had crappy performance, even on high-end NVIDIA hardware. The other side of what AMD is also working on is their processor side. Now, they haven't had a new processor since, I believe it was 2012, was the last time they had a new processor out. So it's been a while. So the chips that they have out right now don't natively support things like USB 3, Thunderbolt, SATA 3, and PCI Express 3.0 or even 4.0. So their processors are behind the times. And the reason they did this is that they bet the farm on multi-core CPUs, where Intel pushed per core performance. Well, AMD's going back and they're pushing for per core performance and less power usage. So the new Zen or Ryzen chips, you will be able to get a 6 or 8 core processor. They will have better per core performance. Each core will not share cache the way they did in the past, their past FX chips. So the per core performance will be better. In fact, early benchmarks have shown that they are on par with Intel's previous generation chips. Now you're saying, oh, previous generation chips, oh, it's not as good as Skylake. Well, actually, based on the benchmarks, Skylake and Kaby Lake really don't offer much in the way of performance updates to their chips. They're not performance bumps. What Intel is doing is that they're refining their technology. They're changing their technology, changing power usage on their chips. They're not really boosting performance all that much. So if you have an older Intel chip, a previous generation Intel processor, there's really no need to upgrade to Kaby Lake or the newer chips, because you were not really going to get that much of a performance boost out of it. Unless you are wanting, to support the most advanced stuff, like the most advanced features like Thunderbolt and such. Unless you're absolutely needing that, which these new AMD chips will support. And the first of them will be coming out very early in 2017. So it's about time. It is about time that AMD finally got their mojo back. I will be upgrading to one of their newer processors. They have new chips coming. They have new graphics cards, the Vega cards coming, which are their enthusiast class GPUs. And they have their current ones, the RX 480, 470, and 460, which the 470 with their current drivers performs as well as a GTX 1060. And that's not bad. Not bad at all. That's actually not shabby whatsoever. And it's a good price too. It's a little under $200. So that is not bad. If you're a PC gamer, that's a good value for you. 2016 was the year of Pokemon. Not only did we get some new Pokemon games for Nintendo's handheld system, the 3DS. The 3DS. We also got the first mobile Pokemon game, Pokemon Go. And this game pretty much took over the world. And it caused a lot of hell and havoc everywhere. But the Pokemon Go craze has calmed down in recent months, but it's still a pretty popular game. There's been reports of some problems with it. With servers, there were problems at launch where people couldn't get on servers. And there were problems where people were getting mugged because there were people that were waiting at these Pokestops and mugging people. There were problems with people trespassing on private property because there were Pokemon on private property, and all sorts of other all kinds of craziness. And it was popular here in the US. It was even more popular over in Asia. Oh God. I believe it was Taiwan where this game was immensely popular. Over there, everybody was playing it. And there wasn't anywhere you could go where you didn't hear about somebody talking about this game. Very early on after it came out, it's like every channel was talking about it on YouTube. And it was even in the mainstream news for a time where they were talking about this game. It was a big deal. I mean, Pokemon is one of Nintendo's biggest properties. Now, of course, this was made by Niantic, which is not a Nintendo company, but it's a company that's working with Nintendo and the Pokemon company, which is the company Nintendo founded to manage Pokemon. But this is their biggest IP. This is Nintendo's biggest IP. And whenever they do anything with it, it's always a very big deal. And for an IP like this that's been going on for this long, and they still doing cartoons, and those cartoons are still doing well. This is an IP that started out slow at first, gathered steam, and hasn't stopped. "2016 was also the year of the social justice warrior." Don't even get me started. But one of the biggest stories of this was Buttgate. Overwatch Buttgate. The rigmarole that started over Tracer's pose in the game, which triggered a whole bunch of feminists and social justice warriors and other people. Don't even get me started on that. I don't really even want to get into that. I just say I am the first person that will agree that women need equality, that we need equality of the sexes, equality of the races. We don't, as a society, as a people, we do not need racism. We don't need sexism. But the way they go about fighting it is not how you do it. That's not how you do it. They are on the extreme side of the spectrum. And this, complaining about this, is on the extreme side of the spectrum. I mean, look at this pose. I mean, is there anything overtly sexualized on this? I mean, yeah, she's got a butt. She's got a nice butt. But, I mean, the pose that they switched to was even more risque than this. And there was no uproar over it. So they were just, as I said, don't get me started. That'll be a subject for a different video on another channel, on a different channel, where I'm going to go into and just basically lay way into these people. Because they think they're trying to do right, but they're not. And most of them are just doing it to get attention, or they've never known oppression in their entire lives. They don't know what it really means. They think they're being oppressed. They have no idea what it means. They have been pampered their entire lives, and they're just doing it to get attention. But let's move on. I don't even want to get into this. One good thing that came out of 2016 was the drama between Jim Sterling and Digital Homicide. Well, that was fun to watch. Jim was basically out to get these guys, and for a good reason. Their games were complete shit. I mean, they were awful. And they used asset flips, they stole assets, they did all sorts of things, and their games played like crap. They EA is often considered the worst gaming company, but EA is usually considered the worst gaming company, but these guys were even worse than them. And the whole thing about Digital Homicide just paints a spotlight on a problem on Steam with early access games and with just the shovelware that is on Steam right now. It's gotten a little better. Valve changed the review policies on Steam so that only certain reviews actually count, where you see the reviews of people who actually had bought Steam keys show up. They've been working on cracking down on fake reviews, but the whole drama with this company, one of the things that sparked this problem with them is that they not only did they sue Jim Sterling for all the videos he did showing just how bad their games were, they started suing hundreds of Steam users who gave their games bad reviews. And that's where Valve crossed the line. Or, sorry, drew the line. Sorry. That's where Valve drew the line and kicked them off Steam, banned them, because they started suing users for bad reviews. Now, there's one thing you do not do in the gaming industry, and a lot of companies need to learn this. Never, ever attack your fans. Never, ever attack the gaming community. If people say your games are not good, if you're getting poor reviews, do not attack. That is the mistake that too many games companies, too many developers have been making. Is that they're, instead of going back and going to the community and saying, okay, if this is a problem with our game, if you're seeing a problem with our game, then, let's find out what it is that you're having a problem with, and let's try and fix it. But instead, a lot of these developers, they get an attitude and they start attacking people for their criticisms of their games. And that is not how you do it. That is a quick way to lose loyalty, brand loyalty. That is a quick way to get people to start talking about your company in a very negative light in social media, which is what happened. And it's also a quick way for you to get banned off of services like Steam, which is a big deal, because Steam controls 75% of the gaming market for PC. If you get kicked off of Steam, it's literally as if you can never sell your game. Because if you get kicked off of Steam, a lot of other online retailers will not touch you. Because if you were kicked off of Steam, then it's obvious you were kicked off for a reason. And so it literally meant the death of this company for Valve to kick them off. It literally meant their end. Which, really, was it such a loss? And their games were horrible. Absolute garbage. I mean, I've seen some garbage games on Steam, but theirs was the cream of the crop. I mean, theirs was the cream of the absolute crop of when it comes to absolute trash. And it couldn't have happened to a worse company. 2016 was the year we also got the announcement, finally. We got a name for Project NX, which is the Nintendo Switch. And while Nintendo keeps saying this is not a replacement for the Wii U, there's been recent news that Nintendo is recalling all current Wii U's from stores. Now, there are some who are saying that this is in preparation to release a Wii U Slim, because they did this for the regular Wii U when they released a smaller version of it that did not include the ports for plugging in GameCube controllers. They had a smaller version of the Wii. There are some saying that they're preparing to do that for the Wii U, preparing to launch a smaller version with a more compact gamepad screen. But we're just a couple of months away from the release of this new system. Now, the Switch is a hybrid console and handheld system. There's been a lot of rumors about this ever since the announcement. And Nintendo's been doing the right things when it comes to the announcement of this. One of the things that hurt the Wii U with its marketing is that it was targeted solely at kids. Where the Wii was targeted at the casual gamers. I know that particular ship has sailed. They're not going to get any more of those. But they targeted almost exclusively young children with the Wii U. And it's just not working anymore for them. Just specifically targeting kids. That's not working for them anymore. But the marketing for this has been interesting. They've been marketing towards young adults and towards older adults. The trailer, the announcement trailer for this had adults in parties and eSports players playing Splatoon. And there wasn't a single little kid playing this thing. And they were marketing towards that demographic, which I think is a good idea. Because marketing just for little kids is not going to cut it anymore. Another thing that's not going to cut it is not having a good library at launch. They're going to need to have a good library for the system at launch. And the slow trickle of games to the virtual console for this system is also not going to cut it. They're going to need to have a robust library of games for this, and they're going to need to release new titles on the virtual console for the Switch fairly regularly. I know it takes a while for them to convert those games over to the what the Switch runs on, but they need to be on the ball with this because they're coming off of a console cycle that has been their worst since the GameCube, which the GameCube was not a bad console, it just didn't sell that well. And they need to up their game. This system has the potential of being a real winner for them because it satisfies two things. One, it is a full 1080p machine when connected to your television. It's not a 4K, unfortunately. And it's also mobile. Not only that, it's a tablet. And the controller, as you can see, has two side components which can be used as individual controllers themselves, or they can be connected to a middle piece with an extra battery to be a gamepad. And you can also use the Wii U Pro controller with it as well. There will be a version of the Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch available. And in the announcement video, they showed several games. They showed some Wii U titles, such as Splatoon. And they also showed the new Legend of Zelda, which was delayed. Which there's some saying that it was delayed because they were going to release it for this system specifically, and there's been a lot of talk that the Wii U version might have been cancelled. We don't really know anything. Nintendo's going to have an announcement for this in the next coming months before the launch finally. So we're going to learn a lot more then. Oh, they have the potential to make a comeback with this if they play their cards right. 2016 was also the year of franchise fatigue. This was the year when companies releasing multiple back-to-back franchises were beginning to see a major drop in interest. And we saw that with the appearance of the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer on YouTube, and it got smashed. The number of dislikes was legendary on this. This video received more dislikes than any other video in YouTube history. And it was that big. It was that big. Now, the game still made money. The game still sold. I mean, COD's got a lot of fanboys. The game still sold and it still made money, but not nearly as much as it did before. Franchise fatigue has been in full effect this year, and we've been seeing it happen with a lot of other games too. We did not get a updated Assassin's Creed this year. Ubisoft decided to skip out 2016. They also... Battlefield 1 didn't do as well as previous games, but it still did very well. It still sold extremely well. Battlefield 1 did very well. It was one of the few sequels that actually sold well. Dishonored 2 did not sell as well as the original Dishonored. And Watch Dogs 2 did not sell as well as the original Watch Dogs. And Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 was because of bad scheduling for the release, and it was probably deliberate. Because it was released around it was released too soon after Battlefield 1. They should have waited. And I believe it was EA's fault. They deliberately did it. Why? I don't know. But they deliberately did it. Probably to kill off the franchise. Who knows? But Titanfall 2 is not a bad game. It's gotten very good reviews, but not a lot of people are playing it. Same thing with a lot of other sequels. Even it's... What can I say? What can I say? Franchise fatigue is in full effect. People are tired of the same thing every year. Same thing every year. They're getting bored of it. And the game companies need to adapt. They need to change. If they don't, this is only going to get worse. This year also we had the whole weird thing of gambling with Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It actually started when a bunch of YouTubers did some videos where they were showing themselves winning big prizes on a gambling site using CSGO skins as reward, using CSGO skins and winning real-world money. And they were showing themselves winning big jackpots. It turns out that those YouTubers actually owned those sites. And that them winning was rigged. Just to bait people into joining the sites and throwing away their hard-earned money. That's what's really started the whole controversy. And then the legal eagles got involved, and Valve then started putting their foot down and telling these companies to stop. Telling these websites to stop using their APIs for gambling. Since then, it has calmed down. There hasn't been any new major news on this. Valve has pretty much nipped this in the bud. I think think the legal Eagles are pretty much satisfied with what Valve has done, but we will know more in the next coming months, as trials come up, to see exactly what happened, what further happens from this. There was also match fixing in CSGO, where teams would deliberately take a fall for payment so that other teams could win tournament, get tournament winnings. And that's another problem. Esports is not a new thing, but it's really starting to come into its own flourishing. It's starting to really blossom. Esports has been around since the 80s, but it's starting to blossom into a recognized, accepted sport where some serious money is involved. ESPN even dipped their toes into covering esports for a while. So it's really, really becoming a big thing. And this particular thing with the whole gambling thing with CSGO and the price fixing of matches, this is growing pains. I mean, football went through this, and the NFL went through this at one point. They didn't have the internet then, but there were controversies with gambling on games and things such as this. So this was to be expected with esports becoming popular, esports becoming an accepted sport globally, growing in popularity. Things like this was expected, and we might see more of this at some point. And the one thing we have to make sure we don't do is have knee-jerk reactions to it. And we have to make sure that the legislatures don't go screwing things up. I mean, already we've seen over in Korea, they're banning mods. Now, they're not banning the kind of mods that you would use for, like, Fallout 4, where you would change the game. They're banning mods that let you cheat in online games, such as, aimbots and stuff for Overwatch. That's what basically sparked that whole thing, was that there were people using tools to cheat. And an aimbot basically is a tool where you use a third-party application, and all you have to do is mouse over a target, and the game will automatically shoot. You just move your mouse, put your reticle on your target, and boom, and instantly the program will issue a mouse click to the game. This can be detected. This rapid targeting can be detected. And Blizzard banned a lot of players for it. And so now, in South Korea, it's going to be illegal to use, create, and distribute such tools. Our final big news story was the No Man's Sky hype train. This game, I was really looking forward to this game for a long time, ever since it was announced at the Game Awards a few years back. And the game didn't live up to expectations. It did not deserve the hate that it received. It received some hate. It didn't deserve the hate. It didn't deserve the hate that it was getting. And it's not a bad game, it's just that it was not the game that many people were expecting it to be. And at the same time, Sean Murray was making some promises that he didn't keep at the time. Now, that's changing. The Foundation update pretty much includes a lot of the things that he said that the game would have. It still doesn't have multiplayer, but you're able to build a base. You're able to own a freighter and land on it and build stuff inside the freighter, build it out, and send it out to places to earn you money so that you can upgrade your ships and you can upgrade to a new and larger freighter, more storage. And there are some humongous freighters in the game. And the Foundation update was just a small update. It fundamentally changed the game in many ways. Whereas before there really wasn't a point to exploration, now there is. When you build a base and you build your stations, you build the science station, you build your weapons station, and you get NPCs to work at those stations, you get quests. And then now there's a point to actually going out and exploring, because they send you out looking for stuff that they need to do their research. And now there's a point to actually going out, traveling the stars, looking for planets that have specific materials that they're looking for, so that you can get your upgrades. So you can get your hazmat glove for picking up exotic items. You can get your advanced mining beam to get certain materials. And then you can start really building up your base. And as you improve your technology, you'll get new stuff for your base. You can really build it out. And people have already done some mining into the binaries, mining into the game assets. And the next update, we're going to be getting ground vehicles, a buggy, or some kind of, maybe a buggy or a hover vehicle of some kind. We've already got a garage that we can build with a garage door that automatically opens to us. So we're going to be getting stuff like that in the very near future. And the Foundation update, as big as the Foundation update was, and as much as it changed the game, it's actually the smaller of the updates that we're going to be getting. It's actually the smaller ones that we're going to be getting. So the next one is expected to be a much bigger update. There have been a few updates with bug fixes since the Foundation update launched. Probably one of the biggest things the Foundation update includes is survival mode, and people that play it absolutely love it. They're comparing No Man's Sky to Ark. And Ark's already a popular game among survival game aficionados, and I've watched a lot of the No Man's Sky live streams of survival mode. It is brutal. It is unforgiving. Even the normal game is a little harder than usual. They made certain materials a little more scarce, a little harder to get a hold of, and it's fundamentally changed the game. So yeah, there was a lot of drama about this. There's still a lot of people who absolutely hate on this game, and they will not listen when you tell them that the game has improved. But it has. It really has. Okay. YouTube has changed their algorithm. So what does this mean? Pat did a video on this some time ago. Actually, he did a couple of videos on this. Now, the first one, he said that you had to do a video at least once a day to really satisfy YouTube's algorithm. You don't need that necessarily, but some of the smaller channels like us, doing a video once a day would be very difficult for a small channel like us. This change to the algorithm benefits more mainstream media sources. which that's probably what YouTube is trying to attract to their service. They're trying to get these bigger names to join. They've been making other changes to their community guidelines because they want to attract the bigger advertisers. They want to try and make stuff more family friendly on YouTube after the fact. That's not really going to work out. I mean, these advertisers are just going to have to suck it up and accept that, hey, this is what you're going to be getting on YouTube. So you might as well just deal with it. I mean, unless you don't want to advertise, and then people won't know about your product. But the way you can survive with the changing of the algorithms is simple. Learn some basic, very basic search engine optimizations. A lot of the biggest channels have been getting away with some pretty poor practices. One thing is they're cracking down on clickbaiting. YouTube is starting to crack down on that. So give your video a title that is relevant to what the content of the video is. Also include a description that is at least 3 sentences or longer of exactly what the content of the video is. A description that talks about what the video is. You can still put your links to your affiliate programs and to your sponsors and your social media, but don't just have links in your video description. Have some kind of paragraph that describes what the video is first, then everything else later, or else it will not satisfy the algorithm. Also, what you will want to do is you will want to use proper keywords. Now, if you don't use keywords that are not appropriate to the video, YouTube will crack down on that. So what you want is relative keywords to what the contents of the video are, and that will help with the search. That will satisfy their algorithms. Now, that will help. Now, and then there are other problems on YouTube. There's the whole subscriber bug, where people have been losing their subscriptions to channels without their permission, being unsubscribed to them, or they're not receiving, or they're still subscribed, but they're not receiving notifications anymore. This has been a reoccurring problem on YouTube, from what I understand. I'm relatively new to YouTube, so I never even knew that this problem existed until I heard about it, and then I found out this has been reoccurring. This is something that's been happening on and off again constantly, and they still have not fixed it. Or they fixed it, and then they did something and it broke again. And this comes down to what I wanted to make a comment about. This is my special comment for YouTube. They want to be the next television. They want to be the next TV. Live TV, as it is now on the air on your cable service, it's on the way out. Its days are numbered. Whether you want to accept it or not, standard cable TV as it exists now is on borrowed time. It is the dead man walking. That is exactly why you have cable companies that are charging you more for bandwidth. That is why you have cable companies that are imposing bandwidth caps. Why they are throttling your connections when you are using third-party streaming services other than their own, which some of them are now offering streaming video. Did you know that on some of those services, your bandwidth cap doesn't apply to their streaming services, but if you watch Netflix, it does? And this is what the whole thing with net neutrality is supposed to be about, is to prevent from doing that sort of thing. It's a conflict of interest. But the whole reason why they're even doing it is because they're on the way out. They know they're on the way out, and they're refusing to adapt. And television needs to adapt. The cable operators need to change. They need to adapt because the future of television is the internet. The cable companies fought for years, tooth and nail, fought for years against offering people a la carte service. Basically, where people could pick and choose what channels they wanted and just pay for that. They fought against that for years and years and years and refused to give it. Well, now people can get it via the internet. They're doing an end run around the cable companies and getting exactly what they want, when they want it, from where they want it from services on the internet, whether it's Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Video, or whatever. They're getting what they want from there, when they want it, without having to wait for schedules, without having to pay a massive buku amount of money, unless they pay way overpriced for their internet service, which is what we're doing here to get unlimited internet. You don't want to know how much we're paying for our internet here. You really don't. But TV is on its way out. It's a dead man walking, and YouTube wants to be the next television. And so they are doing what they need to do in order to make themselves attractive to mainstream media creators as well as advertisers. Now, what this is doing is this is stepping on the toes of the people who made them what they are today. And that is people like me. People like Boogie2988. People like the Linus Media Group. People like Jake Septic Eye and PewDiePie and Alpha Omega Sin. You know, people like them. The people who made YouTube what this service is. The big channels. We're not a big channel. We're a relatively small channel. My channel is really small. Gamers Bay is really small. There's my personal channel has only one video that I've uploaded there. I plan to do a little more with it. But the really big channels are what made YouTube what it is. It's not just cat videos that made YouTube big. It's all the other programs that people come to and watch on a regular basis. You know, epic rat battles of history, the Fine Brothers reaction videos. You know, they come to watch Smosh. They come to watch Corridor Digital. You know, people come to watch, you know, even they come to watch Keemstar because they're idiots. But they all come to YouTube for these programs that they can't get anywhere else. You can't come and watch, you know, these shows anywhere else. They only exist here. Some of them are starting to branch out into other services like Daily Motion and stuff because YouTube is mucking around with their algorithms and mucking around with monetization. But they're doing this and stepping on the toes of the people that actually made them a success. And YouTube has a danger here. I mean, right now they're the biggest game in town, but that won't always stay that way. There are alternatives to them. And they make these big content creators on YouTube mad enough. They'll start their own. They'll leave and they'll take their audience with them. So YouTube has to be careful. You know, they want to try and cater to the mainstream media and the big advertisers. But if they alienate the people who actually got them to where they are and those people leave and they take their audience with them, well, it's going to be bad for YouTube. Well, that's what I wanted to say. This show is completely unscripted, completely unprofessional. Who needs professionalism here? Everybody, thank you for watching. I would like to wish you a happy new year. Be safe when you go out tonight. You know, don't drink and drive and all that jazz. And if you do drive, wear a seatbelt. But, you know, it can get crazy. I'm in Texas, so I know how crazy it can get. So, this has been a great year. I started this about the middle of the year, about June, doing stuff for Gamers Bay and stuff on my own channel. Actually, I started earlier than that, but then I quit and I came back and started doing Chloe the Professor, and then started doing videos for Gamers Bay, and about June. So I started this about the middle of the year. So I'll be doing this all year long, 2017, and all the future shows of this will be live as well. It'll be a bi-weekly thing, where I will cover basically the largest news stories of the past 2 weeks and a special comment at the end. So it'll follow the same format. So, have a great New Year's. Have a great New Year's Day tomorrow. And I would like to thank all of you who came to the stream to watch. If you didn't come to the stream to watch, at least you'll be able to watch this video later, because it will be up on YouTube for a while. So please enjoy. Again, completely unscripted, just me sitting here talking. I've actually improved a lot. I've had problems with nerves, problems with speaking publicly on stage. I've had issues with that. I've had problems with that in the past. I've actually gotten a lot better. A lot better. So the quality of this program you should see increase. So we'll see what happens in a year from now. How much better will the show be? Again, thanks for watching. Those of you who showed up in the chat, thanks. Gamers Bay, you showed up in the chat. You know, the head of the Gamers Bay, and he said a few things. Yeah, the PS4 Pro's been getting pretty hammered by critics. And I'm interested in seeing what the Scorpio is going to offer. Right. Hopefully, you know, more people will show up in chat in future episodes. Again, we're a small channel. We're just getting started. We're, from understand, Gamers Bay has been around for 5 years. But we're ramping up. 2017, I think it's going to be a really good year for us. So, everyone, those of you who might be watching, those of you who will be watching later, thanks for putting up with my unprofessionalism and my nerves, and we'll see you next time.